Hello and welcome to TV Trippers with Matthew 3.14, Cobbers101 and Antonio47 on the M.A.C network. This is a show where we discuss shows and movies, especially Game of Thrones. Today we're going to be talking about Season 5 of Game of Thrones and what we think will happen and what we hope will come. First thing, what did you think of Season 5?
Alright, I'll go. Third best season. But wasn't great. It was
really?
great, but not by Game of Thrones standards.
Really?
Okay.
What do you think was the best?
Yeah. I think 2 is the best, 4 is second best. But it did have the best episode 9 so far.
Well, on the other hand, I think Season 5 was the best season. I don't know why, it just really caught me, and especially with all the deaths and big cliffhangers that happened towards the end. And Roberto, where would you put it?
I'd say it was the second best. Season 4 definitely was the best one, but I think Season 5 just like the Hound. That was why it wasn't the best. But the story's getting better and better, and Season 6 is probably going to be the best one, I think.
Yeah, I disagree. I think The Life of the Hound was bad, but didn't kill the show by any means.
Yeah, right. On to a larger discussed thing. Do you think Jon Snow will return?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, well, I think he will, just because of the R plus L equals J theory. If you guys don't know what it is, it's the fact Rhaegar and Lyanna had Jon Snow as a child instead of him being a bastard. And I think they'll tie in so well because it would allow him to sort of come south and raise troops, and it's such a good potential storyline. I think he has to come back.
I'm just going to quickly,
really
that's
well.
Rhaegar Targaryen, by the way, and Lyanna Stark, just in case you don't know.
Yeah. But saying that, I'm half scared that they will just kill him off, seeing as it is Game of Thrones. I mean, they did it to Robb Stark, why can't they do it to Jon Snow?
I think it's Robb Stark, but Robb Stark wasn't the Sound of Ice and Fire. That's the whole name of the series.
Yeah, true. Well, it could be about Jon and him being Lyanna and Rhaegar, as in the Ice and Fire, or it could be between Daenerys and Jon, and Jon's the ice and Daenerys is the fire. You never know.
Yeah, both of those require him, don't they? I don't think he's possibly dead.
Yeah. What do you think, Antonio?
Yeah, I have to say, I think Jon's going to return. They tried keeping it a secret, but yeah, he's coming back, and everyone's going to love that. And I don't think they'll kill him off in this season. I think he's got to kind of stay with the show because he's what they use to market the show. You know, and plus they've
there's a lot to market.
Images
that show.
of him have been released filming, so it'd be good to have him back. But the question is when he's going to return.
Yeah, true. Whether it be the first or... Yeah, I just think it's almost too perfect with Melisandre being there, and she almost got saw resurrection happen. Moving on to another controversial theory, have you guys heard of the Gravedigger theory? And do you think it will happen?
I have not heard of the theory. Why don't you go ahead and say that? Explain it, please.
Okay, the Gravedigger theory. In the books of Game of Thrones, they showed Brienne of Tarth walking through a sort of monastery, and in that monastery it showed a gravedigger described exactly like the Hound, and also had a hound next to him. It describes it from a distance, and when Brienne is talking, she's asking, is the Hound dead? And then the guy says yes, but he never actually mentions Sandor Clegane being dead. So there's a theory that he's actually been left, but then he found peace with the church and was not resurrected by them, but nursed back to health. And the theory goes on to say, in Cersei's trial, which will come in season 6, the church is going to get Sandor Clegane to fight for them in the trial combat.
Based on that, will Game Ball get hype?
It's going to be so good if that happens.
I mean,
probably one of the best episodes.
Who doesn't want Clegane Bowl?
I think that sounds like it could happen, and it probably will happen because that's such a great idea for an episode, and it all ties together.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think it's a little cheap. You know, they killed
Yeah.
Rob. Rob isn't coming back in an actual way. They killed
Yeah.
Ned Stark, who was the only actual real, well, not real actor, but famous actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think they want to bring him back. Everyone would love it if they brought him back. It'd just be kind of cheapen the whole thing if they're also bringing Rob back as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But,
most likely Stannis back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we need to question, if you don't see them die on camera, are they really dead? I mean, we haven't seen Stannis die on camera. Even Marcel, we haven't seen die on camera. And the Hound, all we know is that he was left in the wilderness.
But we did see
So-
John die on camera.
Yeah, however,
that was full on.
Melisandre's there. But, I hope he comes back. He is such a good character. And moving on to another category, what do you think the big battle is going to be in episode 9 of season 6?
Antonio, you got any ideas?
Yeah, I'll take this one. I think it's going to be between the armies of the north, after Sansa's escaped with Theon. They're going to gather the armies of the north and perhaps the wildlings and fight the Boltons for Winterfell. But I think season 6 might have 2 battles instead of 1, and they might occur in the same episode to make it even bigger. Because all the actors have been saying that season 6 is going to be the biggest one of all of them. So to have 2 battles in one episode, I think that's something that they might do. And the other battle might be with Daenerys, perhaps.
I think. I think that's not what's going to happen, because it's always been like one battle, one thing. So I think I'm not sure if you remember this. At the end of season, I think episode 9 or episode 10, Peter Baelish Littlefinger says, asks the Queen, whatever her name is, forgot. Can I take the army of the Vale up to go north? And I think that's going to be the battle. And then versus the Boltons for Winterfell, or something along those lines.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think, Joe?
quite a good point. That's quite a good point, actually, from Matthew. What they could also do is maybe have Sansa resurrect the North, the Boltons and the Vales of the North all going at once. But however, I feel personally that they've been teasing a Daenerys battle for so long, and in season 5 we already had a sort of battle for Winterfell between Stannis and the Boltons. So I think it'd be extremely interesting to see Daenerys go head to head with her first slot of Westeros, especially as she's now stranded with the Dothraki. For all we know, she's going to recruit the Dothraki to her army and then have quite a sustainable big army with now big investors such as Tyrion and people from Westeros supporting her. I think it'd be the perfect time to actually do that battle.
And Tyrion's a great battlefield commander, as we see in season 2, I think.
Yeah. So I think that could happen quite easily. I think all 3 of these could happen quite easily. I can't really see battles happening anywhere else apart from down south with Daenerys and up north with Winterfell.
Yeah, although they could do a White Walker battle again.
They could, but I think they won't want to do too many sort of in the same place. If we had 2 ones at the wall succeeding each other, I think they'd want to steer clear of that.
And they've gone on about winter is coming constantly through all the seasons, so it would make sense for the last season to have, the massive battle of the White Walkers. But they'll leave that until the end because that will be the big finale.
I disagree with you. Let me just say this quick theory first. Some people are saying that Jon is a warg, and we see that kind of thing in earlier seasons. And that idea will be that before Jon died, that he switched into a body of his wolf, and that he's going to go on some sort of wolf journey, like a shit version of the Jungle Book of Lion King. So he's going to go off and he's going to do his thing. But I can see that happening, and that's why I think that maybe he joins the White Walkers, or he takes a White Walker body, or something along those lines. Or Melisandre brings back his body, and then he fights with the White Walkers against the wall.
You can also see the warging almost happen because his eyes change colour, don't they, while he's dying on the ground. I noticed that as I was watching the last episode yesterday. And also important. guys, what are your big predictions? Who do you think is going to die, and where do you think the season is going to sort of end up? Who will be attacking who? What would you think will happen?
Matt, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can see Littlefinger dying because he tries to be a commander and he probably going to be awful. Just gets murdered. Probably.
Good character though.
I think I'm not sure if he can die, but I think I just can't remember his name. Who's the guy Arya is with right now? Sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, Dragon Hagar.
Yeah, I think he can die. If he can die, then he will. Because although I'm not sure if that's like there's like a ton of people as him, or if it's actually one person. But I can see that happening. Any others from you guys?
Joe, do you want to go next?
Personally, I would love it if Ramsay died, because he's such a little so-and-so, but I think they've got a solid villain, so I don't think they'll kill him just yet. However, I can see, maybe not this season, but in the future, definitely a big death of one of our favourites, like Tyrion or someone, just to break the hearts of loads. But I think this season, Cersei might die, because she's a villain, but she's sort of almost done her whole worth. You see her going through an almost redemption, like revenge arc with the Seven. So I think she could die in a almost like blaze of glory, trying to take down the people that imprisoned her.
Imagine if Cersei's like gone to trial, and then she's been released and she's free, and then just someone comes up behind her and stabs her.
Oh yeah, and then you got all the shock and so on.
Well,
Also,
that would be really Game of Thrones, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That's another point we haven't talked about. The Lannisters versus the Martells, because the last time we checked, the Martells had just killed Marcella Lannister. So do you think a war will happen between those two?
I can see it maybe.
I can see them touching upon it, but they'll save it to a later season, I'm feeling.
I think in season 6 it'll be more of like a cold war between Dawn and the Lannisters. They've always hated each other, but I don't think they're going to have a battle just yet.
I think that's going to be a later season.
Yeah. Would you say this season they're going to stay unbarred, unbent, and unbroken? I hope one of you gets that.
Perhaps, yeah, I got it. Yeah. But for people that I think will die this season, I think, unfortunately, characters like Bronn and Jorah, side characters, but characters that the audience loves, but they're not that important to the show. George R.R. Martin will definitely get rid of them for the shock factor. And maybe even Theon. I think Theon sort of reached the end of his story.
You sort of want to see him go through a redemption. He's just sort of broken out of his trance of being Reek, and he's started to become Theon again. I think people would quite like to see him, retrieve himself almost.
If Theon just killed Ramsay and then got murdered, I think that'd be great. Because Theon's not that interesting a character, but if he was the end of Ramsay, that'd be very good.
Yeah, I think that would go down well. What do you guys think is going to happen to Daenerys? What's she going to do with the Dothraki? She's going to have to escape, challenge, do what?
I think they're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Obviously, I'm not in charge over there, but I think somehow Daenerys is gonna prove that she's in charge. She's gonna have the dragons, pretty likely. They saw her with one. She's gonna get the dragons with her. They're gonna be like, "Oh shit, dragon lady," and they're gonna let her. They're gonna let her be in charge, and she's gonna walk them back to wherever she's from again. Marine?
Yeah, Marine.
And then she's going to take over there again, because for some reason they decided they need more taking over of cities in the south.
And Antonio?
I think the same thing will happen. They try and make out that she'll be a prisoner, but it will be a twist if she takes over and recruits Dothraki, and she does complete a promise to take them over the sea and reclaim Westeros for herself. But yeah.
I think, I personally think that, like I think I said earlier, she's going to almost recruit them, show her worth, use the dragons to sort of get them on her side. Plus, a lot of them will have been from Drogo's horde of Dothraki, so they'll know her. So I think she'll prove her worth, recruit the army, and then down in Marine, Tyrion, because we know he's a good leader of people, like we saw in season 2 when he was Hand of the King. He would have got rid of the Sons of the Harpy and made the whole city sort of alive again. So that Daenerys is in prime position with a huge army and a good base to attack Westeros, and I think they may leave that for season 7, or they might do it at the big battle. But I think they probably will leave that to season 7, have it as almost like a cliffhanger, not knowing what's going to happen in episode 10.
I can see Tyrion doing such a good job as leader that that no one wants Daenerys back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think everyone's got a soft spot for Tyrion within the show. I mean, even Jon Snow, who kept on being called a bastard by Tyrion, ended up liking him.
Yeah. Can I say quickly, on the Game of Thrones Wikia page, under warg it says, if a warg's human body is killed while controlling the mind of an animal, part of the warg's consciousness will survive inside of it. Dying wargs, sometimes those who are simply dying of old age, will attempt to temporarily cheat death by entering into this second life mode. So I can see if Jon can do it, if Jon is a warg, which I think he is from something I remember, then he will be in that mode.
Yeah, especially
I can see that happen.
The wilding warg as well, which Jon killed, then turned into his eagle, didn't he, and attacked Jon. So you can see that they will stay alive.
Oh yeah, so he did proof.
Yeah. I think it's almost too perfect as well that Melisandre saw someone resurrect someone using the Lord of Light, and she's the priestess, and she's in the same place as Jon. I always think it works too well. She even said in the books, I keep on asking the Lord to show me Azor Ahai, but he only shows me snow. And I think that's almost too much. And leading on from that fact, Antonio, who do you think Azor Ahai is?
I think it's kind of almost too obvious and too perfect, but I think Azor Ahai is Jon Snow. You know, Song of Fire and Ice. It's got to be him, hasn't it? Really, I don't see who else it could be besides Daenerys, but so far she hasn't really proven that she could be Azor Ahai. I think it's got to be Jon. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah.
Jon. Yeah. I can't see it. They set it up so well for it to be Jon, and I don't get how it could be anyone else. Firstly, before we carry on discussing this, do either of you want to say exactly who Azor Ahai is, so listeners who are interested in the book know, just in case?
Yeah, go for it. Azor Ahai, in the first winter, it was extremely dark. There was no wall to keep everyone safe, and the White Walkers came marching in, terrorised Westeros. And there was a prophecy saying that Azor Ahai would rise and using his magical sword, would get rid of all the White Walkers. So eventually a guy did. He was Azor Ahai, killed all the White Walkers, and the prophecy got written that when winter returns again, Azor Ahai will return to banish it. However, there are certain circumstances for Azor Ahai to be Azor Ahai. One of them is you have to be born within salt and smoke. You have to have the blood of a dragon. You have to have a magical sword like Azor Ahai's. And the rest I forget, but I remember Jon and Daenerys tick off nearly all of the boxes. This is thinking that Jon is R plus L equals J, so he's a Targaryen. That's including that, otherwise Daenerys ticks more of the boxes.
I've got a couple. I know that Melisandre thinks that it's Stannis Baratheon.
Yeah.
Now that could work because he was named after Lord of the Dragonstone. His paternal grandmother was Rhael Targaryen, which means he has the blood of the dragon, and he does have a magic sword. So
yeah.
That could be him.
Leading on, I think that Stannis is still alive in season 6.
Ooh. I think he might actually, because they didn't show his death, and I'm not sure whether you two noticed, but before Brienne goes for the swing, from the angle that it's at, it looks like there's already a sword in Stannis' leg, sort of just a trick. So I think she may, Brienne's quite an honourable person, so she may try and almost bring him to trial, and you can see the lasting effect that Stannis has on Brienne. So I think she may just cut his bleeding leg off, which looked like it was infected, and I think it could work.
I don't want to spoil the party for us, and this hasn't been confirmed in TV, but in the next Game of Thrones book, he is still there. George R. R. Martin confirmed it. Yeah.
Ooh, then again, Catelyn Stark's still in the books, isn't she? So we can't take everything.
Yeah, I guess.
I'd say when I saw it for the first time, I thought after it, because you don't see him die, maybe he's still alive in season 6. But thinking back on it, it kind of makes sense for him to die at that point. His last words were, go on, do your duty. And he'd lost pretty much everything. He'd lost all of his army. He'd lost his wife. He'd lost his daughter. The priestess who he'd followed this whole time. And it sort of made sense for that to be, he was defeated in every way possible, and then he died. It sort of makes sense. Because if he comes back in season 6, what purpose does he have?
Yeah, it's almost too perfect as death. They sort of tied up all of his loose ends in that, his last few episodes, I suppose. Matt, what do you think?
I think he's alive. I don't really have that much to back it up, but Stan's the fucking man, so he's not being killed by a woman that he's never met before. I mean, he killed, what was it, like an army with 10 men?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that something's going to happen, like Sansa or Theon show up at the exact same time somehow, even though that's not what really happens in Game of Thrones. But I think something like that's going to happen, and, they're going to stop her, and then they're all going to agree to work together to take back Winterfell? That's from Skyrim. Winterfell.
Mm. Who do you think, who in your ideal world would you have on the throne? Who do you think most deserves it and is almost the first in line?
Stannis.
Yeah.
Honestly, his brother took over. He was part of the army. The way succession works is that the closest, the oldest family member goes in. He doesn't have any. Robert, who died a long time ago now, he doesn't have any real children, so none of them should be on the throne. I think that it should be Stannis, and if it's not Stannis, then it should be Daenerys.
Antonio?
Yeah, I think Stannis has the best claim. He may not be the most likable character, as charismatic as Tyrion, for example, but claim-wise, he's probably the best one for it. And I think Daenerys sort of suits ruling in the East better than she would suit, ruling in the West. What do you think, Cobbers?
Well, I'm entitled to agree with you because the way the throne works, as Matthew said, is the next in succession, which Stannis is. But you need to think, do the Baratheons actually deserve to be on the throne since they stole it from the Targaryens? And in that case, it's either Daenerys or Jon, if Jon is a Targaryen. And I think another thing that makes it almost awkward is the fact that Jon has a better claim to the throne if he is a Targaryen than Daenerys. But I think most of all, as you lot said, it is Stannis. And do you think Renly is the next in line for the throne then, if you think Stannis is?
Renly, I am drawing a blank on who. Is that the one who died?
No, I didn't mean Renly. I meant Robert's bastard son, Gendry. That's the one.
Bastards shouldn't be king. Not have a look. As far as I know, they shouldn't be king. Basically, I think that his claim won't work. I think that they've abandoned the storyline. They aren't going to bring him back. I think they should all just give up on Gendry.
Yeah, I agree. He was a good character, but he's not got much relevance now.
It saddens me to think it, but yeah.
Yeah, he's gone.
And finally, do you think Daenerys and Jon are going to fight or fuck? This is the biggest question.
Fight. Right, that one was hard to decide. I think that people are saying that he's ice, snow, and the other thing, Daenerys is fire. But I think that Jon is the Song of Ice and Fire. I've got a couple more theories after this, but this is the main thing, obviously. I think that John is going to fight. He's going to win, and it doesn't matter because George R. R. Martin, at the end of it, doesn't care about love or happiness. He cares about the best story possible in a realistic way, as far as I can tell. So I think he's just gonna have a fight. He's gonna let John win, and I think John's gonna do something like melt the throne or something to prove a point.
Antonio?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's right about that. Yeah, because I think they're not going to really get together unless Dario dies somehow, which he probably will because it makes sense for him to die. But yeah, it's not really going to have a happy ending. George R. R. Martin may decide that, if so many people watch the show, maybe I'll give him what they want. But knowing him, he'll do what he wants anyway, whether or not we're happy with it.
Yeah, he does what he wants. I think they will be fighting for the throne, like big armies and stuff. Then the White Walkers are going to come, and they're going to ally themselves, if you know what I mean, against the White Walkers. And then after that, that's when they're going to fuck. And then they're just going to be like, you know how Targaryens love incest? They'll just go for it. And then that's how I want it to end anyway.
Right then.
So you're just living like this 3-minute long porn scene at the end of it, just like full on.
That would literally be the best way to end it. I mean, who doesn't want Emilia Clarke and Kit Harington just going at it?
I would guess probably if they're going out with anyone, those people.
Let's be honest, I really wouldn't mind.
I've got a quick idea for you. I read this recently. You know when you're in a video game and you're like at a really high level, and all of these like peasants, or like when you're at the end of, for example, at the end of Assassin's Creed, you've got all these great weapons, and you go up against the people from like the start of the game, and you just run through them. You can kill them all easily, and then at one point you're not really trying that hard. You don't think it, and one of them kills you.
Oh yeah.
All right, I think that's the White Walkers. Like they're so used to being these incredible fighters who are unstoppable, and our swords don't work against. I don't know what I'm saying, but our swords don't work without them, and we're not able to do anything. But the thing is, they're not actually good fighters, as far as I can tell, because they don't have anyone to train against really, and they're not going to be they're going to be. I think the term that people used was off guard, and they're going to be really bad fighters, and they're just going to get beaten by superior fighters with Valyrian steel or dragon glass.
Yeah. I can see that happening as well. I mean, that White Walker that went against John was so surprised when John actually blocked his blocked his sword, that he died really easily as a result. But I myself, I almost want it to be a huge challenge, and I want John just to cut through them. I like knowing that he's got loads of skill, if you know what I mean. And also, I like it how if he is Azor Ahai, maybe the whole Valyrian steel sword being good against White Walkers isn't even a thing, and it's only his sword, because as we know, Azor Ahai has a special sword that can kill White Walkers. Maybe that's what they mean by John's. Antonio, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the same thing, but I think that the reason he blocked it was because of the Valyrian steel. It makes sense for them to have certain material things that mean they can defeat them. Like they focus so much on dragon glass, and then they found out that Valyrian steel works as well. And it's all about building up giving them an idea that there is some hope for them to defeat them, because they've been made out for so long to be unstoppable. It should be a good ending.
It should be a good ending. It better be.
Do you think John, if he does get resurrected, will stay at the wall and sort of keep the storyline there going, or do you think he will go south?
I think he's going to go north then south.
Well, if he wakes up and he resurrects, he's free of his Night's Watch vows, isn't he? Because he's no longer
unto death.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people have been saying.
So then it'll be more fun to see him, I think, do stuff in the rest of Westeros than just be stuck at the wall, because then his character can develop even more than it has already, and it'll be more entertaining for us.
Yeah, I mean, I've been wishing for that for so long, but I wonder how they're going to carry on the storyline at the Wall. We're not going to know anything about White Walkers for a good season.
I know that in A Dance with Dragons, which was the most recent book, Jon Snow theorizes. We don't see this in the actual show, but Jon Snow thinks, "Oh, is it possible that that a Valyrian steel can kill them?" So I guess that I feel like that's going to be what happens. It's not just going to be an Azor Ahai thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and
Oh,
guys,
any
I had one
final
thing.
points, guys?
A big thing for season 6. Where has Brandon Stark been for the whole of season 5? You know, what has he been up to?
Yeah, yeah.
Tree.
Well, they showed the pictures of him, haven't they? So he's definitely going to be in it. But I wonder what he's
I
going
haven't
to
seen
do.
them
To
yet.
be honest, his storyline's been the most boring out of all of them by far. So I wonder whether they're going to do anything good. Do you think he's going to walk into a dragon? Because I think that'd be amazing.
Oh, that'd be so good. I hadn't even considered that. Just
Oh,
like
oh,
a dragon flying across. Amazing.
imagine a war between Jon and Daenerys is like, oh, let me just send my dragons on him. They try and burn Jon. Jon's like, I'm a Targaryen, so they don't burn me. And then Bran controls the dragons using his mind and kills loads of Daenerys' troops. I think that'd be sick.
Oh,
That would be amazing.
Oh, we need to write that down. I think that'd just be so sick. Has anyone got any final points?
I have several. The first one, I'll say them quickly because they don't have a lot of development. So goes from Reddit. Sorry about this. There's one that the sound the two swords make could be considered the song of ice and fire.
Yeah.
So that would be an ice sword and a sword forged by dragonfire clashed together. And here's the research I've done into this. I've got facts. So my thought is that Daenerys makes some sword, or she uses Valyrian steel to make a sword, and it's and she can use that to fight with. I'm dancing like I've got a sword, and none of you can see me. Anyway, so that's her sword, and then the sword of and then I'm not sure you remember this, but the sword that Jaime and sword that Jaime gave to Brienne of Tar, and the sword that Tom and Baratheon have right now, Oathkeeper and Widow's Wail, were both made from the sword of the House of Stark, which is called Ice. That'd be the sword of ice. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, Daenerys could actually make Valyrian steel, couldn't she? Because she's got dragons as well.
Yeah. And then my second one, since that isn't very long, I saw this thing where the reason the White Walkers are coming back is because humans killed all the dragons, and the White Walkers obviously had to stay back behind the wall because of the dragons, because they couldn't defeat the dragons. But since the dragons died, the White Walkers are thinking, oh, it's fine to come out now.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So that's...
Well, now that they've got the dragons, I'm sure they'll be used loads against the White Walkers, and I think that'll be a key part of the if there is an alliance between Jon and Daenerys, the fact that she's dragons and he knows how to kill them. And Antonio, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be really good. And another thing I was thinking of is there should be even more storylines in season 6 than there have been in the past, because there will be about 7 different storylines in this one. There's the one with Jaime and Cersei in King's Landing. There's Tyrion currently. Brandon Stark will have his own. Daenerys, Jorah, and Dario, if you can count them as one, if they meet up. And Jon and Sansa, and that's I think 7 different storylines. So a lot more is definitely going to be happening.
Well, we can't expect all of them to be connected, seeing as Game of Thrones as a show moves quite slowly in ending storylines and beginning them. But, any more final points?
I think that's it from me.
So from all of us here, we hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you if you stick through to the end. Goodbye, and have a nice tomorrow.